What's up everyone, and welcome to a little bit of deja vu. We're back at it with the Pokemon Sun and Moon trailer analysis. Now I know a couple of you guys might be wondering, haven't we seen this before, MunchingOrange? And the answer is yes, but the Japanese Pokemon company actually blocked my video worldwide, which has never happened before, but I guess they just really didn't want us to show off the Japanese Sun and Moon trailer, which I thought was really good and maybe even better than the one we got in America, but whatever. Since the original trailer analysis I did was barely even about the Japanese one, I decided to repost that part, and towards the ending there's actually some new news that has come out as well, so stay tuned if you want to hear some new info. But as for right now, enjoy this video that you might have seen before, or maybe this is your first time watching. Either way, hope you guys enjoy. Let's get to it. The all-new adventure we've all been waiting for. Oh, they're definitely not wrong. Sun and Moon are looking like the best Pokemon game so far, and we start off, of course, with our protagonist character. Just with this first second of the game, we can already see that the 3D is completely polished from X and Y. The characters, all of them are actually completely 3D full models and not the weird chibi kind of 3D that we had in X and Y, so that is already amazing to me. We actually have the fully fledged 3D Pokemon trainers, starting off with our protagonist, of course, who is looking pretty awesome. I like his striped shirt. Of course, this to me is already screaming character customization. You guys already know I love me some character customization, and it is returning in these games, possibly with more features than ever before. And already with our first steps outside of the character's room, we have the professor of this region, Professor Kukui. Or at least we can only assume this is the professor because he does have the lab coat and he is the one that presents us with our starter Pokemon later on. And of course, if you read the dialogue, you can notice that we have confirmation that the region is based on Hawaii, like most people thought. We are going to be visiting the Alola region. Welcome to paradise, cousin. And paradise is honestly an understatement. This region looks beautiful. I wasn't ever really against the idea of a Hawaii-based region, but I guess I just thought since so many people were on the hype train for it, it probably wouldn't come true. But yes, we are going to Hawaii in Pokemon Sun and Moon. We even get an awesome aerial view of the starting area of this game, complete with a volcano, all its islands, craters, and oh man, this just looks awesome. This is later on in the trailer though, so we're gonna hold off on region discussion for a little bit because we have something much more important to take a look at first, and that is the starter Pokemon. So as we mentioned earlier, this is most likely the Professor Kukui here with his awesome little rainbow hat, but he is not alone in his endeavors to give you a starter Pokemon. Watson's Hawaiian cousin here is named Hala, and it's still unclear to me whether this is actually the Professor and Kukui is the assistant, but I still believe Kukui is actually the professor because he's got the lab coat going. And even though Hala is technically the one to give you a starter Pokemon, they are actually both named after Hawaiian trees, so it could literally go both ways. By the way, we know this is Kukui, and even though he calls you cousin, I don't actually think he's literally your cousin. I think that's more like an endearing term, like what up bro or dude. He just says cousin. So which one of these two do you think is the actual professor? Like I said, there's kind of evidence for both right now, and I'm leaning more for sexy glasses and open lab coat man myself, but definitely let me know what you guys think. Either way, this awesome man is going to be the one to introduce us to the starter Pokemon of the Alola region. And here they are! Oh my gosh! We have a little grass owl, a fire cat, and a water seal. It's a crazy huge coincidence, but I feel like the artwork that I showed off in our discussion the other day almost perfectly lines up with these new starters revealed, at least in concepts. We have a grass owl, we have the fire kitten, and we have a water seal. I guess it's not really a kitten in the fan art. The fact that we got 2 out of 3 is still really impressive. A grass owl starter and a water seal. And oh man, I love this little fire cat. He's so awesome. But let's go into depth with each of the 3 of them. So first of all, of course, is Rowlet, our grass starter for the Alola region, is actually going to be a grass and flying type from the very start. Now playing fan games recently, there's actually been I think 2 that have a grass and flying starter. And it's so awesome to see an official Pokemon game now do their take on this with our little buddy Rowlet even turning his head all 180 degrees just like real life owls. And his little bow tie is so cute. Oh, I love this guy. When I first saw this attack here, I actually wasn't sure what it was, if it's a new attack or it kind of looked like Razor Leaf, but Turns out the Pokemon website confirms it is a new attack that Rowlet can learn from the moment you pick it as your starter. The move Leafage attacks an opponent by striking it with leaves. Rowlet I can definitely see staying as a grass and flying type just because it's already got it from the start. I don't really see it changing typing or anything, but will it be a physical or special attacker? That remains to be seen. But moving on, we've got actually my favorite starter for this generation so far, Litten, the Lit Kitten. Of course, it is a pure fire type, but we can speculate on their evolutions in a little bit. I just love the fact that they finally did a fire cat, and I can totally seeing it evolving into a dark and fire tiger of destruction. Oh man, it's gonna be awesome. It also says Litten can attack with flaming hairballs. Its fur is rich in oils and immensely flammable. Litten grooms itself by licking its fur and then uses the collected fur as fuel for fireball attacks. What? When the time comes for Litten to shed its old fur, it all burns up in a glorious blaze. I don't know if that's like a sign for its future evolution, but maybe it does shed its fur, or maybe the fur just turns a different color, because at least right now it looks like a dark and fire type just because of the color scheme of his fur, but could end up being anything really. But finally we have Popplio, the water starter, the sea lion of course. Even though all three starters are amazing, I feel like Popplio is definitely the least favorite, at least for me. I guess because we've seen so many water seal Pokemon in the past, but then again, they are kind of running out of water animals that can also live on land, but I still believe one day we'll get a platypus starter Pokemon. Popplio can snort out balloons made of water. Watch it spin water balloons into a playful battle strategy. I don't know what this is all about, but from this artwork, it looks pretty dang cute, man. I gotta say, Popplio is kind of growing on me now. Aside from its little bubbles, it also has the standard water gun attack, which kind of shows that maybe Leafage was finally made to kind of add a balance to water gun and Ember, because there was never really a grass attack that did the same. The closest thing was Absorb and maybe Razor Leaf, but they weren't quite there as far as power and accuracy. Like, they just needed a good early grass move, and maybe Leafage is just that. I also noticed, but didn't really mention, the trainer is actually in the battle the whole time, and I'm not sure if this is for every single battle or just our first rival battle, but still really awesome that we get to see our character there in the sideline actually rooting on his Pokemon and choosing the attacks and everything, because you always customize your trainer, but don't really get to see him in the battles ever, so it's cool that they're adding that in. That hat though? That does it for the starter Pokemon though, and I gotta say, this might be the closest race for which starter is going to win out as the most popular for me. I just really don't know at this point which one we're gonna end up picking. Of course, we do have to see the final evolutions before making any final calls, but for the first stage, they all look so cute and awesome, and I can't wait to check him out in Sun and Moon. Moving along, we finally have the aerial view of the region once again, and a bit more scenery of the beginning area. We see a bunch of, not really tiki heads, but I guess just very Hawaiian-inspired decorations and things. And staring into the sunset, oh, who is this? The bay? Or maybe this is the bay. Anyway, this looks to be the starting town or whole starting area in this game. From what we can see in the map actually, if we can go back to that, we can clearly see the Pokemon Center, and there's only one in this whole huge area. So I feel like because it's based on Hawaii and Hawaii has a lot of different islands, it only makes sense that in this game, we'll be traveling from island to island. In fact, if you pause at the very beginning, you can already see the coast on the other side. So yeah, this is a pretty small starting island considering, but when we look at it inside of the game itself, it looks like it's actually huge. Like, these buildings really do look proportionate to the character, at least in size. So maybe for the first time, we'll have a properly proportioned Pokemon game where every building and area actually feels gigantic and real and vibrant and amazing, and oh man, I can't wait. Speaking of more vivid, when we see the character walking around, other people actually care, like they're looking at him and interacting, and that definitely makes for a more vivid world as well. I feel like in Pokemon, one of my major complaints is you walk around and people just kind of stand there and don't do much, so a more vibrant and alive world, I guess, would be awesome. And it seems like these games are taking it in a good direction. There is no sign of a gym just yet, but then again, this is the starting town or starting island. Wait, is that Tyranitar Tube? I keep going back to this, but I really feel like we're going to be doing a lot of island traveling in this game, especially being based on Hawaii. Maybe there is going to be a big mainland, but at least for the starting town, it's just this small island. So I can definitely picture you going through different islands. Maybe this is finally the Orange Islands game we all dreamed of. Anyway, let's get this trailer wrapped up because it concludes with the most epic revelation of all, the legendary Pokemon. These Pokemon look amazing, and even though we didn't get the name confirmations, I feel like it's pretty much confirmed this is a lion Pokemon. We all suspected from Solgaleo that it would be a lion, so it only makes sense. And then of course we have Lunala. I never mentioned this in the discussion video, but the Ala part of Lunala actually means wings. And of course we got a flying Pokemon here. Not sure if it's actually flying type, so don't quote me on that. We really have no idea what typing these things are. They didn't even reveal the names. They just wanted to show off how awesome the covers were. But don't fret, because I feel like we're going to receive that info very soon in Korokoro. At least we know that in Korokoro's next issue, they will reveal the covers. I mean, we already have them right here, but if they're going to reveal them, maybe they'll go more in depth into the legendary Pokemon. They look amazing though. Solgaleo especially. Okay, I'm just going to call him that because I feel like that's going to be their name, but Solgaleo looks amazing. This is just, oh man. I know it's a bit early to say, but this might be one of my favorite looking legendary Pokemon ever. I just love lions, and I guess we've never had an awesome lion Pokemon to represent our games, and now we have this guy. The Moon Legendary, on the other hand, kind of has a bat form. Actually looks really cool still to me. I like that they stuck with the whole crescent moon shape. It's like a combination of Noivern and Cresselia, but they just look so awesome. And to wrap up the trailer, the Moon Legendary is going to use his signature attack. Of course, we don't know the name of this thing, but it looks awesome with all the little balls circling around him, and is a great way to end off an awesome trailer. The question on everyone's mind now is, what type are these legendary Pokemon? For Solgaleo, we can see some kind of fire influence, being a giant sun-based lion, but for Lunala, it's a little different. I really can't tell what typing this thing is, and if I had to guess off the top of my head, I would say a dark and flying type, but of course Yveltal was just that typing, so more than likely Lunala will not repeat the same typing. So I want to ask you guys, what do you think these legendaries types are going to be? Again, I just don't see them adding another new typing, so I've completely drawn a blank. I have no idea what the typings of these two things are, and maybe that's for the best. Now, in my original video, this is where I talked about the Japanese trailer, which was actually very different from what we just took a look at. It was more live action and didn't show off quite as much gameplay, but there's still a couple of hidden details in it, specifically the confirmation of character customization. So just like in Pokemon X and Y, at the beginning of the game we can choose our hair and skin color, and I just know that there's going to be so much more stuff to customize in these games. The one thing a lot of people seem to bring up that I still am not sure about is, will we finally be able to take off the hat? Is it glued to our head? The answer to that is no. But is this scene actually the character taking off his hat? Or is it just in the beginning of the game you don't have one on? Because usually your character looks a little bit different when you're just starting off the game. Like in X and Y, you're wearing pajamas. So I don't know what this exactly means, but I really hope we can take off our hats in the next games, because that's probably the only thing that character customization was missing. You could always swap out your hats, but you could never take it off. But if we actually go back just a second, we see as soon as the kid turns on the 3DS, the professor actually waves hello to him, and we see a menu that we've never actually seen before. There's a camera, some options, and a video recorder. I honestly have no idea if this is just a cutscene where your character's on the computer, since we can see the little interface up there, or if this is actually what the interface of the game is gonna look like, but it could be that whenever you open your game, the professor's got some advice for you or something, and maybe you can record your own video back with your trainer or with yourself in person. I don't really know, but there's a camera icon and there's a video camera icon, and that's just something we haven't seen before, so we'll have to wait and find out what this is all about. And I can't wait to enjoy Pokemon Sun and Moon with all of you guys in the near future, because it's confirmed it's coming out November 18th of this year. That is so close by, it's insane. I can't wait for these games. Honestly, these so far look like the best Pokemon games, and I can't wait to see what else they bring us soon. Oh, and the Bay, yeah, that's our mom.
Meow, that's right.
Actually, this seemed kind of minor, but Meowth being in this scene confirms that there aren't just new Pokemon in the Alola region. Maybe we'll have more old Pokemon return. Maybe even evolutions of old Pokemon. Crossing my fingers. Anyway, that about does it for the original Pokemon Sun and Moon gameplay trailers, but a couple of days after these came out, Koro actually posted a trailer of their own, and even though they show off mostly the same stuff that we just saw, it seems like they can't avoid the leaks. Get these people some duct tape because they have revealed another new Pokemon for the Alola region. At the very beginning of the trailer, we can spot it here, right in front of the player's house. We have this trainer and a strange new little Pokemon in front of him. We don't actually know anything about this little guy, its name or its typing or anything, but we can definitely assume that it looks like it can be the early normal type Pokemon of this generation, like the Rattata or Bidoof. It kind of looks like it would be one of those Pokemon, the early normal type you get, but definitely let me know what you guys think and what animal is this even based off of, because I guess since it's from the back, we can't tell too much of what it's gonna look like, but I know that with the early bird Pokemon we saw in that original Sun and Moon concept art, a lot of people tried to draw what that Pokemon would end up looking like, so I'm curious if people have drawn this one. So if you guys see anything, definitely let me know over on Twitter so we can check it out in the future, but looks pretty cute, looks kinda awesome, so I'm excited to see what this Pokemon ends up being. Our final bit of news comes from Pokenchi, the Pokemon show now notorious for not showing off any new news, but this time around, they've actually got something a little bit for us. They showed off mostly the gameplay that we've seen before, but there's this one screenshot you're looking at now of the battle scene, and not only do we get to see the HP bar for the first time, which has gotten a little bit redesigned, but there's also some little details in there with huge implications. First of all, there's people chilling, just watching the battle, which I think is really cool and adds this kind of vivid feel to the battle, like there's actually trainers around when you're battling. It was always kind of weird to me that they disappear whenever you get inside, but anyway, it's no different here. We've got our rival with his Rowlet, but wait a second, why does he have a Rowlet when we picked Litten? You see, normally your rival in Pokemon uses the starter that your Pokemon is weak against. But this time around, this kid has gone 180 on us and picked the starter that is actually weak to our own. So it makes me think this is actually not our main rival, and it might be kind of like the friendly type of guy that is just tagging along for the journey, and our main rival is probably going to be the opposite gender from what you choose. We might have seen this in the trailer already. It feels like your main rival is going to be the opposite gender character, and then this guy's just tagging along. Maybe he's the professor's assistant, or he's just your childhood friend, or some kind of story. You know, Pokemon seems to do that a lot. But it's cool to get confirmation of that here with this screenshot, now that we see he actually does have Rowlet. So unless they're actually switching up the formula and making rival battles just infinitely easier, well, I don't think they're changing up the formula, so this is probably just going to be our secondary rival. That's gonna do it for this take 2 on the Pokemon Sun and Moon trailer analysis. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope Pokemon Japanese company doesn't take down this video, because that would really suck. I still don't really know what exactly happened. I've uploaded videos similar to this before, and they've been for the most part okay, or they take the ad revenue, which I sometimes don't mind, but straight up blocking the video was very strange, and I'm still not really sure why it happened, but hopefully it doesn't happen again, and I'll see you next time.